Hi, welcome back, Wisconsin Republican Congressman Reid Ribble. And we're now joined by CNBC contributor, best-selling author, good friend, political commentator, Roth. Carol, thanks for joining us today, and you now have first question.
I appreciate it, Ed. And Congressman Ribble, I just want to go back to the previous segment where you mentioned the best way for Congress to stay informed on what was happening with the Iran nuclear situation was to hear from Bibi Netanyahu. Have we really gotten to the point where Congress needs to go outside the U.S. to an outside source to find out what's happening with things happening in our country?
Well, I didn't say it's the only way we should find out. I said it's one way that we can find out, and certainly having the head of state of a nation that Iran has said doesn't even deserve to be a nation and should be wiped off the face of the earth. I think his statements actually have some merit here, but it certainly isn't the only place we go to get information, and it's just one of those places.
Congressman, what's it then going to take for the lawmakers to understand what really goes on in Israel, what really goes on with Iran? Because we've had reports here on this show in the last week that talk about a parallel secret nuclear program that Iran is running. It's underground. It's being continued, even as they continue to negotiate some sort of an agreement to not use nuclear weapons. Congressman, quite frankly, they are playing us, and that they're making us look stupid.
Well, this is the mainstream conservative thought that you're voicing there, Ed. And we for the most part agree. We don't know exactly how all these things are working behind the scenes or what machinations the Iranians are going through, but we do know that there was a strategy in place with sanctions that were actually working, that were restraining what Iran was doing. The president released those and stopped them and basically took the foot off the throat, and now the Iranians have much more say. And I think the American people are going to be surprised when they hear Netanyahu speak tomorrow on where they're seeing and what they're seeing directly in the Middle East as it relates to this issue. Now, I've been over to Israel. I've had an opportunity to be in his office and speak with him directly, and I have a pretty good sense of what he's going to be saying. But I think it's really good for the American people to hear it directly.
Carol, to you.
Yeah, Congressman, I mean, from my perspective, I think that most Americans are really aware of the issue and are not in favor of the way that we have dealt with Iran. So once we do hear from Netanyahu, then what happens? If the American people are in agreement that we're going down the wrong path, and Congress is in agreement that we're going down the wrong path, but the president is still off on this other path, what do we do to stop it?
Well, certainly any type of long-term agreement that's going to be inked with Iran is going to have to be approved by the U.S. Senate, which the American people gave control of to Republicans by putting them in a majority over there. And so we'll all have a chance to weigh in. I know House Foreign Affairs is going to weigh in on everything that's going on. We had a chance to question Secretary Kerry just last week on this very issue. Clearly, the administration is going one direction. I believe that Congress and the American people are going another direction. And at some point, there will be political pressure brought to bear. And quite frankly, I believe that this is going to, foreign affairs is going to show up as one of the primary areas of discussion in the 2016 presidential campaign.
Congressman, a couple of minutes we have left. I do want to point out that you recently released a letter signed by 285 members of Congress, and huzzah, bipartisan support in Congress among lawmakers. And this talks about long-term funding for the nation's infrastructure. We have a road system, a bridge system in this country that is collapsing around our ears as we speak right now. The question is, can we save it in time?
Well, I think we can, and what I wanted to do, and I did it along with a Democrat friend of mine, Daniel Lipinski from Chicago, we wanted to demonstrate to not only to Paul Ryan, who's chairman of House Ways and Means, but to John Boehner and Nancy Pelosi, that the broad swipe of the House of Representatives doesn't want to kick the can down the road anymore. We want to face up to the fact that we've got this infrastructure problem. We ought to stop taxing 12-year-olds by giving tax credits to rich car buyers buying Teslas. We ought to fund this thing completely, and we ought to get our act together on having a world-class, globally competitive national infrastructure. And that's what we wanted to show them, is that the support for the Congress is there to do it.
I only got about 30 seconds left, and I have to ask you this. I know Carol would want to ask you this, too. We're faced with another deadline now for DHS funding on Friday. In your opinion, will the government shut down on Friday?
No, I don't think it will. Of course, the whole government wouldn't shut down anyway. Only a part of one department would shut down. But I believe that we'll find a path forward before then.
We will all keep our fingers crossed, undoubtedly, Congressman, because I have this odd feeling that there's a lot of people out there with cash paychecks who are doing exactly the same thing, even as we speak. Congressman Reid Ribble, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Carol Roth is going to return right after the short intermission. There's Carol. She will stay because we're going to dive into the arena with a focus on flip-flopping politicians. I don't know how many of you have heard it or not, but it's making a whole lot of news. Scott Walker has said when it comes down to immigration, he has changed his mind. Some people saying it is a flip, others saying, quite frankly, all he's doing is trying to, if you will, appeal to a certain part of the base. Some say maybe he's just learned differently. We'll also talk about the lady from Arkansas getting ready to face the political music as an official candidate, because it looks as if finally we have a date for Hillary Clinton to get involved and basically tell America that she wants to be president. Stay with us. We're coming back right here on MidPoint.